Okay, really quick, we're going to shoot with the Olympus OM1 and the 75 1.8 everyone has been telling me about and how great it is. Let's see what we can do with this lens. So far, I really love this thing. Lightweight, small, beautifully sharp. But let's take a look at the images in the shoot. Before I do anything, I want to thank all the people that watched this channel that recommended this lens to me. I probably would have never got it if I didn't listen to you guys and say, okay, I got to try this because everybody's saying it's such a great lens. I mean, 75 millimeter 1.8, with 150 millimeter crop factor, it wouldn't have been my first pick. But then I was thinking, I have that, the 40 to 150, which is an 80 to 300, and it's so big and heavy. And I'm thinking, I would be really happy with 150 millimeter focal length. Now, I'm not a huge one for that compression, but the deceiving part is it's not 150 millimeter compression, it's 75 millimeter compression, which, it just doesn't make sense to you because you're thinking, okay, it's 150 millimeter focal length. I'm expecting that 150 millimeter compression, and it's not there. It's 75 millimeter, which really was a happy moment for me, saying, okay, well, I'm shooting at the 150 because of the crop factor, but I'm getting 75 millimeter compression. So that made me really happy. The other hurdle I had to get over is this lens is so small and lightweight for a 150 millimeter lens that every time I put that viewfinder up to my eye, I kept thinking, wait a second, it just didn't make sense. I mean, I couldn't comprehend the focal length on this when I put that viewfinder up to my eye and saw that, 150 millimeter focal length through the viewfinder. So I had to get used to that. And believe me, it took me a little bit to get used to, because I went on this little patio section for the restaurant thinking, oh, I'm going to get some full length and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait a second, I can't, I couldn't go back far enough to get a full length. But don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with the images. I think they're fantastic. And you can see the background rendering is just stunning. It's not a big ball of blur. You can still get, a sense of the environment. And I like the sense of the environment because it gives you some kind of depth versus just a big ball of blur. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that. And, the same thing with the compression. I know a lot of people love to shoot at, 150 millimeter, 200, 300 for that type compression, but it's just not for me. It's not wrong. If you love it, you love it. But for me, I'm happy with it, like a 75 millimeter compression. I can deal with that. That's why I shoot 50 millimeter with portrait so often. And I do have the 25 millimeter, which is a 50 millimeter, but that's a 25 millimeter compression. So, I don't have that happy medium. This is my happy medium. The 75 is just a little bit more than the 50. The compression is just, I don't know, I think it's really good for me. So this was a really good purchase as far as lenses for this OM Systems. The other deceiving part was how incredibly good and sharp this lens is, not being a pro lens. So I guess it doesn't have the weather sealing and so forth, or isn't, quite the build quality of the Olympus Pro lenses, or I should say OM Systems Pro lenses now. But wow, I don't know what else to say, but wow. I absolutely positively love this lens. I think it's incredible. Now, I have to give props where props are due. First off, props to Olympus for creating this lens. This was a 100% Olympus lens. And, obviously OM Systems took them over, but, the brains behind this lens was the original Olympus company, and it's fantastic. So highly, highly recommend this lens for anybody shooting the OM Systems cameras now. The other thing is, I wasn't paying attention to the camera during the shoot because I was, focused on the lens and the quality of the lens. And I didn't even, consider how well this camera did throughout this whole shoot. Like, I didn't have a single issue. I didn't have a single out of focus shot. Not even close. I mean, everything was spotless when I took this into the iPad, Lightroom on iPad. The images were just stunning. I didn't have an out of focus shot. This camera's worked so seamlessly, so well. It was so easy to use. I really do have to give props to OM Systems for this OM1 Mark II. It really is that good. The 20 megapixel sensor, I had no issues with dynamic range. I had no issue with out of focus areas. It just worked, which is really impressive. Now, the last couple of shots we did in the studio, I just wanted to see how it was with the LEDs, and how the color rendering was. Again, it's fantastic. Like, I don't know what else to say. The other thing with the OM1 is the color balance, and the color coming out of this camera, I think, is stunning. I had to do so little in post on these images, that shocked me as well. But I hope you enjoyed this shoot. This was so much fun. Coming from an M system where you have to manual focus everything, this was just a walk in the park. I just pointed in the right direction, pulled the trigger, and boom. Thanks for watching as always. If you have any questions, leave them below.